So there is nothing in that sense new to learn here. Simply a slight shift in perspective of how to apply what you already flawlessly apply in your creation. And the fact that, again, you always exist right now means that any now moment you can take back your power. You can have that moment be the fulcrum for your point of expressing your power according to preference. Perhaps we can, in that sense, summarize and simplify what we have said. Before you act, before you do anything, particularly when what you are about to do comes from a negative foundation, if you will always at least provide yourself with one positive alternative from your imagination, from the referential, preferential you that you create within your imagination, I again will venture to guess that you will always find it far simpler to do the thing that is, again, representative of who you wish to be. And merely the providing of the option, your willingness to take the action step of providing that option, will have that new positive perspective, that new positive approach and action be far more attractive and make it that much simpler to choose and implement than the old. And one by one, as your actions now reflect the new preferred you, again, in acknowledgement of the old beliefs, not denial, one by one, the results of your life, the results of your actions begin to transform your life right now, immediately, across the board. When you decide to change in that way, and that is simply all there is to it, the simple decision, I wish to change from this to this. You may understand that in making the decision that you wish to change, because now is the only time that ever exists, in that now moment you have changed already. The mere conception of the idea of the change is the same as being the change. Now you can continue then to create a continuity with the old you and make it seem like a passing thing. Or in that sense you can just decide, I have changed because I say so, because I desire to, because I know I create right now, and right now I decide to change. Then secondly, trust in that change. See where in that sense you are not trusting in it and provide the alternative of trusting in it. And lastly, act as though you trust you have changed. And any given now moment that you are willing to do this in this way, you then transform completely, immediately, and wholly, to the degree that you are willing to accept that you can. And since you make all the rules, it's up to you. Therefore, change in a sense can be something which is a lengthy process. Can be in that sense something whereby you analyze every aspect of your past. Obviously that also works, and we are not saying that what we are saying is any better. However, it is another way, and perhaps works faster if indeed we are understanding correctly that it is the desire of you, both individually and collectively as a society, do desire to change immediately. And that immediate change can be expressed from the simple decision to change. Again, the trust that I have changed and not allowing anything to provide contrary evidence, reinterpreting it, and then acting as though you trust you have changed. That is all there is to it. All the stuff that you have analyzed from your past, again, if it is significant, if in that sense it truly does limit you, it will come up. But you will not have to find it. It will find you. And generally, once again, in the form of a negative emotion, or a negative interpretation. Your point of power is eternal. You are multidimensional and eternal beings. You are expressing yourself finitely as physical beings right now for particular reasons. But your sense of your eternalness can be, shall we say, at least approached from the perspective that it is always, forever, right now. That no matter when, it is now. Never was there a moment that you existed in your life when it was not right now. Therefore, this is your consistent access to your Creatorhood, your direct access to your Creatorhood. When you spend your now moment recreating a non-preferred past, projecting a non-preferred future, you in general do so at the cost of what is right in front of your face. Right now in front of your face. And if you are willing to ground yourself back into the now moment, the form that takes is when something comes up, asking yourself, well, right now is the only time I ever exist. Right now is the only time I can ever act from. The thing that I am looking at right now, is it something I can do something about right now? If the answer is yes, go right ahead. If the answer is no, then it is a distraction. Then, because you cannot act upon it and are placing attention upon it, you are looking at it at the cost of what is right there. So if you ask yourself this question and the answer is no, I cannot do anything about it, push that aside. Then look at what is right here, right now. That is how you reground yourself into the moment in any given moment with that simple question. For you can only act on certain options in a given moment in the way that you've laid down the protection of that sense, so to speak, of now moment. And therefore, should you place your attention and concentrate on what you can act upon, there will always be a relevant set of choices. And from those choices, there will always be something which excites you, which gives you more passion, more desire than the other. And if you are willing from what is available, not from what is not, from what is available in any given moment, to use that barometer within you of your excitement, of your gravitation toward, of your passion for, as a criteria to choose from what is available, you will then always express the choice that is directly indicative of the choice of, perhaps you can say, your higher self, or the choice that is representative of what is most you in this life. For excitement itself is the vibratory energy that tells you what is most you. That is why it excites you and nobody else. It is the sign that many of you have been asking for. Oh, I need a sign. The sign is your excitement. Many times something very exciting comes along and you say, not right now, I'm looking for my sign. But that is your sign. That is why you feel that way. Uniquely, you feel that way. Therefore, your point of power can always be acted upon in a positive way. By providing at least one positive alternative, by recreating the referential, preferential you to do so, this is always immediately available. And though at first it may seem as a series of steps, your willingness to even approach it in this way in and of itself is an action and a statement to the universe. And will then reorient your entire reality toward that preference. And the process, so to speak, will become simply automatic. Whereby you automatically and effortlessly will provide to yourself the positive alternative representative of who you now choose to be, rather than perhaps somebody that everyone said you should be. You get to decide who you wish to be. Even if you decide that you wish to be what everyone else says you should be. That is still your choice. But only you can know. Only you can know if it excites you. And only you, if you are willing to act from what is available on the thing that excites you with integrity, only you can create your life in a positive way. It is very simple. It is that simple. Now it will be up to you to allow it to be that simple, or to add as many intervening steps as you feel you need in order to validate the change. But ultimately, that is all changes anyway. A decision on your part to change, and then either trusting in that change and getting the results of it, or trusting in what you perceive to be a process that then results in your validating the change.
Is what is the mathematical structure that underlies the infinitesimal group structure. In this example, there is a matrix generator of the Lie algebra associated to your group. And the matrix generator is given by this matrix. You notice that this matrix, X, has an I and minus I of the diagonal. This matrix is, in this case, Hermitian. Remember what we call a Hermitian matrix? It's a matrix that, yeah. So here, when you have the Hermitian of a matrix, is you take the transpose of the matrix, you flip I with minus I, and then you take the complex conjugate. So a Hermitian matrix, what you do is you do two things. You perform the transpose of the matrix, and then you take the complex conjugate of that. And this is what you call the Hermitian of a matrix. Now, a matrix is Hermitian in this case because you see that minus I is the complex conjugate of I, and I is the complex conjugate of minus I. Okay? So when you look at along the main diagonal, you'll see that these elements are the complex conjugates of each other. So in this case, this matrix is Hermitian. You know. Are you familiar with this, Fan? You recall what you mean by Hermitian matrix and the transpose? Yeah. Okay. So when you see a matrix like this, you look at the diagonal, and if the entries of the diagonal are complex conjugates of each other, then you know that the matrix is Hermitian. You know, that's the simplest way to see it. No. Yeah. Yes. Let me go back. Yeah, I'll go back. Yeah. Yeah.
So can you?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Well, here I'm talking about a continuously group. Imagine in this room we have 3 dimensions. We have 3 axes. So the dimension of the group is 3-dimensional. Like in this room we have 3 axes, so it's 3 dimensions. Now, how many points do we have in this room? We have an infinity of points. Okay? So one has to be very careful. The order of the group in that case is the number of points in your manifold, which is infinite. The dimension of the group has to do with the dimension of this room, which is 3 dimensions because we have 3 axes. Okay? So
this is not an example of a discrete.
No. It's a continuum group.
So the groups are not examples of discrete.
No. It's the continuous analog of a discrete group.
So when you mentioned discrete groups, you were talking about discrete groups in general. Not particularly.
Yeah. Yes. So then I want to go from the notion of discrete group, how you jump from that notion, from the discrete to a continuum. That's what I was doing. Imagine that you have a discrete set of points in this room. If you have a discrete set of points, that will be a discrete group. But if you have a continuum of points, that will be a continuous Lie group. Okay. Yeah. 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 That will be that. Well, in that case, that will. If the theta parameter is discrete, that will be your discretization of your continuous group. No. You could have, well, I guess you call them algebraic groups. Remember, you have to have a composition rule. You have to make sure that the product of one matrix with the other is going to give you another matrix that belongs to your group. So you have to be very careful. When you imagine you give the theta parameter discrete values, yeah? You have to be very careful. You have to make sure that when you multiply one matrix by the other, another matrix that belongs to your set, okay? That will impose constraints on your theta parameters. You have to be very careful. Yeah. Yes.
Then
Yeah.
I would get products of the ball, what, cosine squared?
Well, yeah, then you have to, imagine you multiply the two matrices together. You're going to have the cosine of theta 1 times the cosine of theta 2, you know, minus theta 1 times theta 2. Yeah. 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 No, but remember, when you have theta has one value, theta sub 1, and if theta has another value, theta sub 2, then you have to be careful. Yeah. So you have to make sure that when you multiply those matrices, when you are going to have a matrix that belongs to your set. So you have to be very careful. No, well, I guess it will be a group, not a group, because your parameter has to be continuous. Yes, the parameter. Yeah.
Say the Lie algebra is a mathematical structure that underlies the infinitesimal groups.
Yeah. I'm going to go through. In more detail. Yes. 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 Okay, this is the generator that generates infinitesimal translations along one axis. Okay. Yes. For example, here in the blackboard, imagine I have the z-axis and have an angle. In that case, I write theta sub 3 because I'm specifying the third axis. But imagine if I perform a rotation around one axis only. So the generator of those rotations around this axis will be given by yeah, no, rotation. So. Is this clear? Yeah, is this clear? Okay, let me. Okay, is this what I was? This is back. Okay, okay. What do I mean by exponentiation of a Lie algebra element? Here, for example. I need to write. Yes. So here, let's suppose here I have the element of my group, which is a 2 by 2 matrix. And I want to rewrite this as the exponentiation of I theta x. The reason I write I here is because if x is Hermitian, if I have a Hermitian generator, when I multiply by I, the square root of -1, I will obtain an anti-Hermitian generator. You see, physicists are obsessed with working with Hermitian generators. Mathematicians don't like to work with Hermitian generators. They work with anti-Hermitian generators. The reason they do that is because they don't like to write the I everywhere, the imaginary root. It appears everywhere. Mathematicians don't like that. So a mathematician will eliminate the I, and X will be an anti-Hermitian generator as opposed to a Hermitian generator. I will go into more detail later, you know. But essentially, when you remember Euler's formula, when you exponentiate Euler's formula, you're going to have the cosine of theta times 1. This 1 in boldface is the identity element, it's the unit element, you know, of your group. It's just the diagonal matrix with 1, 1, 1, 1 along the diagonal. And the reason you get the sign, remember Euler's formula? When you perform a Taylor series of e to the I theta, you perform a Taylor series expansion. The even powers of the angle is going to give you the cosine theta. The odd powers of the angle, theta, theta cubed, theta to the 5, and so forth, are going to give you the sine expansion. The even are going to give you the cosine expansion. So when you expand this Taylor expansion, you can expand this in Taylor series, and you're going to have powers of x squared, x cubed. And by that I mean the products of your matrix. You take the square of your matrix, the cube of your matrix, the fourth power of your matrix, and so forth. And when you combine all the terms together, the even powers will coalesce and will give you cosine theta times the identity element. And the odd powers of the angle will give you sine theta times the x. Remember, x was my matrix here. Okay?
So the choice is important because you want that to generate
Yes.
the rotations with such that.
Yes. I want this choice of x such that when I exponentiate the x, will reproduce this matrix. Okay? Yes. Yes. So of course, when I exponentiate that, so when I write 1 here, then this is why I have cosine theta, and then when I have a sine theta here, when I chose my x to be, let me just, I have to go back. When I chose this x like this, notice the antisymmetry here. I have a +1 and a -1 here. So when I write them like this, yes. Did I have chose the I? Maybe I chose the I for the minus I. Yeah. Okay, so this is what you will get.
So X in this case is a unique generator for the rotation.
Yes, for the rotation in 2 dimensions. In 2 dimensions. Yeah. In general, when you have more dimensions, okay, you are going to have 1 generator, 2 generator, 3 generator, 4 generators, and so forth. You have to specify the angle about which you rotate in each given direction. So if I rotate with respect to the x1 direction, I have to specify the angle θ1. If you rotate with respect to the 2 direction, you specify the angle θ2. If you rotate with respect to the 3rd direction, you specify the angle θ3. If you rotate with respect to the 4th direction, you have to specify the angle. So each angle parameter